evening, everyone. Hello. Welcome to our Thursday night edition. How are we all? Is everyone all right? What's going on in the chat? Everyone's saying hi, hi, hi. Some autumn groove. Yeah, you might hear the rain tonight. I'm sitting under the relax window in my office, and it is pouring all of a sudden. So I feel you. A Turkish coffee and roasted chestnuts just looks quite gross. They're the sort of thing I want to like because I like Christmas paraphernalia. I'm not sure I do like them. Oh, a peppermint tea I'm into though. Yeah, that sounds decent. I can't wait for the weekend either, Sarah. I've got a gig in Brighton, but I've just found out they want me to do 10 minutes less than I thought they wanted to do. Oh, I'm excited. It feels like a long, long week this week. You're talking about giraffes. I don't know what that means. Hello, everybody with giraffes. Kim, I made it live, but we'll just be listening while I get ready for work. I hope work is all right, Kim. I'm not pulling any interesting faces. Comments. So bad news is because our daylight saving starts this weekend, it's going to be really tough for me to get her live again until March, except for Friday. Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about all the clocks changing. Ours are going to change at some point too, aren't they? Maybe we'll have to think about ways to do that. I must say that doing them at 10 o'clock is suiting me quite well because, is the audio better? It's suiting me quite well because I get a bit more time to write. So I can sort of write in the evening if I think I had my headphones plugged in, so it was probably trying to use the headphones mic. Sorry about that, everyone. Technology is not my strong point. What was I talking about? I don't know. What happened to the weird freeze frame faces, Laura? What weird freeze frame faces? Oh, what? On front of the videos? Yeah, well, I've been putting them up with the page so that you know when the videos are going to be, and so people that have missed ones can easily see what time the videos are going to be that week. I do, because when I put it up, there is like always a brief second while I upload the picture where it is a freeze frame of my stupid face. So if you happen to be looking at the stream, I suppose, at the millisecond where I put that up, you can see those freeze frames occasionally, but you'd kind of have to weirdly be watching my YouTube channel all day. I don't recommend it. Why don't you just take screenshots and I'll probably be pulling a stupid face. So hi, everyone. You're the most important, Laura. Oh, Kim, no, we'll miss you, but we'll definitely see you Fridays. And, if we can fit in more midnight ones. Tomorrow, I will be racing back from Tunbridge Wells to hit the midnight showing. I've got a meeting tomorrow that I've just not done the work for, guys. I'm really stuck on something creative. But that's not your problem. I've written today's chapter. Close that. I had fun writing today's chapter, though. Wanted to say thanks for liking my art on Twitter, Mystic and Kevin, hence asking who is who. I love that you guys all get on well on Twitter. I've tried to stay off Twitter today. I broke one of my cardinal rules by having my phone in my room overnight, which I never do because of this reason. Because otherwise, I wake up and look at it, and then I look at something that makes me sad or depressed or worried, and it's the first thing I've seen that day, and I haven't had tea or breakfast or second morning or played with Mackie, and I know something terrible from across the world. So I normally don't have my phone by my bed, and then this morning I'd forgotten and left it. That is a good, Ben, you've got such good recall for my jokes. My sleep therapist is Amish. And I picked it up and I looked at it and I saw everybody's reactions to Chrissy Teigen posting about her miscarriage, and I just steam coming out my ears. So I've tried to stay off Twitter all day today. I have been upstairs. I've taught 2 lessons today, which is fun. I quite like teaching me stand up, and I bought a little Eysettle so I can sell my signed Club Actuallys and people can pay by card if they're more comfortable. So I'm ready for my gig tomorrow in Tunbridge Wells, which is exciting. Lovely coasters, says Mystic. Oh, we are classy, aren't we? Art Wells making coasters, and we all like them. Feel free to stick links in the comments on these videos if you've got stuff to sell on Etsy and things like that. So yes, you voted on 1, 2, or 3 Tingians last night. And it was a tie. For the first time, it was a tie. So I had to sort of mush my 2 ideas. And you have a mixture of the 2 versions. So there you go. And I was gonna put a quick shout out on Twitter to see if anybody could run and do a vote, but like I say, I'm avoiding Twitter a little bit today. So yes, the plot got changed at last minute based on your decisions. So it's quite an adventurous. I like today's chapter. I think I haven't read it back. So let's go. Chapter 24. Here we are. Marine stared at the bobbing shell. It stayed above the surface of the river, moving about at the end of its grass tie. It didn't look safe. Not at all. Marine hadn't done any water training. She'd only just completed enough training to go topside and retrieve a stone amongst a commando of much more experienced soldiers. Yet here she was being faced with getting into the shell and being on the river. "Why do you do it, though?" she asked Briar. Briar laughed. "Mixture of reasons. It's fun. It's a quicker way to travel long distances, and sometimes, if there's a lot of us, we can catch fish to eat, like what you ate this evening." Marine thought about the delicious food. It had been good. It just doesn't seem safe, she said tentatively. The second the words were out of her mouth, she heard them, that underground logic of not doing something if it wasn't safe, no matter how fun it might be. She screwed up her face and resolved to be different. "Come on, then, let's give it a go." Briar pulled the shell in closer to the land by pulling the grass rope. They held it steady and indicated to Marine to hop a leg over and into the boat. Marine leaned a leg out and put her foot gingerly on the bottom of the knobbly shell. The whole thing was lurching and moving, wobbling alarmingly, and small splashes of cold water were spraying on her face and hand. She steadied her weight and pulled her other leg over the lip of the shell and into the boat. She was in. First task achieved. The second Marine had sat her bottom on the floor. Briar pitched themselves over the side and leapt in the boat, making it rock alarmingly. Marine watched the land next to the river rock from side to side as the water sloshed them. Briar picked up the two wide paddles at the end of the shell, and with a quick flick of their knife, they cut the grass tether and the shell began to move swiftly away from the land. Marine watched it go with a peculiar sadness. "The first bit's the worst," said Briar over the noise of the water. "It will settle down once we're out in the main current." Marine didn't know what a current was, but she looked forward to it proving Briar right. The boat didn't seem stable at all. They were twisting and turning and bouncing as they moved in circular, lurching motions across the surface of the river. Marine felt the delicious fish lurching about with the boat and wished she hadn't had that second helping. Boating would be all right, she thought, if it wasn't for how much it had made the land jump about around the river. Briar was right, though, and when the shell reached a distance that Marine judged to be equal from both riverbanks, she did feel less buffeted about within the shell. "Where's the water going?" she asked Briar, daring to kneel up on her knees and peer up over the front of the shell rim. That's a tautology, isn't it? What else are you going to kneel up on? Laura. "Nobody knows. Anyone who got that far away never made it back to tell us," Briar said, and Marine blanched. "What do the sticks do?" she asked, watching Briar as they poked the sticks in and out of the water and twisted and turned them. "They steer," Briar replied. "And sometimes you can move yourself quicker with them. Here, I'll show you." "Oh, but I'll shall you. I'll shall you." Doesn't make any sense, Laura. Briar passed an oar to Marine, who was surprised by the weight of it and nearly dropped it. Briar nimbly moved behind Marine and held her arms to guide her as she used the pole in the water. "See, if you change the angle of the oar, you start to change the angle of the boat." Marine did see. It was amazing how a little stick could do that. What was also incredible was being in such close proximity to Briar. She could feel their breath on the top of her head and the warmth of the long, lean body supporting her from behind. She felt like her lungs were constricted. The excitement made her eyes feel less focused. Something about this topsider made her pulse race. Your puns, by the way, are very, yes, cross with you. Marine turned her head to look up at Briar, who was looking down at her with intensity. "Hi," said Briar simply, and leaned in to kiss Marine. Marine felt Briar's lips on hers, and in the instant they touched, she felt herself tipping over and losing her balance. Her head left contact with Briar's all too quickly, and suddenly she was freezing and wet, turning over and over in the water. She gulped down water and air, trying desperately to keep her head above water, but finding it nearly impossible to do so. She kept sinking down. She heard a thudding, splashing sound near her and suddenly felt strong arms pulling her back up towards the surface. Briar was in the water too, holding Marine around one shoulder and trying to steer them toward the bank. "Kick your legs," called Briar over the roar of the water. Marine could hardly see. Her eyes stung from the water and failed to pierce the heavy darkness around them. Water pulled at her legs and body as she tried to follow Briar's instructions. She felt them jerk and her body collided with a rock, presumably second after Briar's had, and they tumbled back into the strongest current. Marine and Briar were both under the water, and Marine could feel herself losing energy fast. Her head felt foggy and Briar's grip on her was slipping. Then her head was above water again and she tried to push the water out of her lungs. She felt herself vomiting and retching and trying her best to stay near Briar. Briar's arm tightened its grip on Marine and Marine tried to put herself into a useful position to be as little weight to Briar as possible. She was frozen. Her fingers felt like twigs of numb ice and she feared they would snap off. Her bum scraped along something solid. Well, now that you're all doing smutty puns, that feels like a very different sentence, doesn't it? Her bum scraped along something solid. I wasn't anticipating you all finding lots of double entendres in this, you filthy stinkers. Sorry to everybody that was following the plot. Oh, I thought this was so tense. It's not, is it? Her bum scraped along something solid. "Put your feet down," wheezed Briar. That's a new one. And Marine pushed all her remaining energy reserves into her legs and tried to stand. Her knees buckled beneath her and she slipped but gritted her teeth and pushed herself up to standing again. It somehow felt colder out of the water, and the invisible hands of the wind were slapping her spitefully on her bare flesh, which, by the way, she hasn't got naked, Mystic. I'm watching you. It's just her face and hands. All right, so shut up. Briar was standing too and gripped Marine tightly by the hand as they both lurched up the bank. I've used lurch too many times. And away from the river. Some first ride. Oh, God, it's just not stopping, is it? Some first ride, Briar said, trying a joke through chattering teeth. Marine didn't have the energy to be brave. "I want to go to sleep," she said meekly. "Help me build a fire first," said Briar. "We have to get warm before we can sleep, or you might never wake again." This scared Marine down to her frozen core. And she stood quickly and tried to force her disobedient fingers to collect scattered twigs and dry leaves from the floor. They heaped them, both moving stiffly and awkwardly with their chilled joints. Briar rubbed 2 sticks together, and Marine watched as they burst into flames. They huddled together to keep warm as the fire rose and licked up to the sky. Marine felt her eyes drooping, and she leant back into the muscles of Briar and fell asleep. She woke to the alarming... Oh, right, pause there. Time is passing, time is passing. She woke to the alarming sound of a bird nearby and instantly moved for shelter, her eyes scanning nearby to see if she could spot the predator. "Don't worry," said a familiar voice. "If it comes near, I'll shoot it. Now give me the stone." Marine looked up into the eyes of Ezria's lieutenant. She had a serene smile on her face and a knife at Briar's throat. I was wondering if you'd guess. I didn't do the accent because I didn't want to give it away, but technically that voice should have said, "Don't worry," said a familiar voice. "If it comes near, I'll shoot it. Now give me the stone." It's Aysmar. Somebody suddenly mentioned in the comments. None of you really noticed that she hasn't been mentioned since they got to the river. Yeah, I think it was you, Durkis. You said it in your comment. Aysmar's been quiet, and I was like, yeah, Yeah, she ran away some time ago when they all got cut free to run across the field, but nobody noticed. Well, here she is with a knife to Briar's throat, demanding the stone. Oh, Lady Frag did notice, she just didn't say. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so now you've got some decisions to make here. I'm just going to straight up give you control over what Marine does next. So she's woken up. Aysmar's sitting there. She's got a knife to Briar's throat and she's saying, give me the stone. Now, how does Marine react? It's up to you. There are 10 bloody options. This is unprecedented. In an unprecedented year, this is possibly the most unprecedented thing that's happened. Mystic, Marine is not going to do Briar. Pack it in. Yes, 10 choices. The winner will probably have 2 votes. So if you're watching this, you absolutely have to vote. Even if you're watching this on catch up and it's 4 p.m. on Friday, you need to vote, all right? Because we need all hands on deck for these votes. You don't have to join in the chat, but if ever there was a time to cast your first vote, voting's important, or we're going to get Trump in the story. We're not. Blech. Right, how does Marine react? Option 1, rushes at Aysmar to fight. 2, offers her the stone immediately. 3, runs away. 4, flings the stone in the river. 5, tells Aysmar the stone is with Ezria and they need to go together. 6, tells her the stone is with Ezria and she will go and get it and come back. 7, tries to lie and say she doesn't have it. 8, turns invisible. 9, turns into Briar. Or 10, turns into Aysmar. You've got 10 different options for how Marine copes with waking up to that, and you best get voting. If it's a tie, I shall ask Tom to cast a vote. He has not been listening to this story because he doesn't love me anymore. So those are your options. You've got 10. Midnight tomorrow turns into, yeah, in the same way that she turned into Mavis, you know, using the stone's power to sort of imitate them. That's what I mean. So I saw that, Mystic, and then it was rejected. Ooh, I've got a murderous rage on again. So those are your options. Get voting. If you're watching this not live and you're watching it at any point on Friday, do vote. Just leave a comment under the video and get in on the voting. You've got 10 options. I'll see you at midnight tomorrow. Sweet dreams and happy Fridays, everybody. See you tomorrow night.